All right, so you are here because you want to talk about the Hospitality and Tourism Postgraduate Certificate. And this program is for students who have already completed an undergraduate diploma or a degree, or you know what, even if a student has significant work experience, you could submit your resume and such to the college, and we'll take a look at it and maybe give you some real life credit, and you can enter into our program to get a credential. Now, what's really cool about Niagara College in this program is that it offers a blend of academic courses as well as applied courses, right? So we'll talk, and that's what we'll talk a little bit about today. So again, my name is Professor Vince Bork. I am the program coordinator, and if any questions pop up, tomorrow, next week, or whatever, and you want some information about the program specifically, please feel free to email me at vbork@niagaracollege.ca, and I will do everything I can to get back to you in a timely manner and get you the information you need. All right, so our program is at the Niagara-on-the-Lake campus, which is a gorgeous place. We have our own winery, we have our own teaching distillery, we have our own vineyard on this campus, and as well as our horticulture program. So there's beautiful landscaping and such here at this campus. So if and when we're back on campus, you'll be able to enjoy that environment. All right, so a little bit more about the program. So it's an 8-month program. In those 8 months, we take you'll be taking a total of 12 courses, right? Anything from marketing to risk management to accounting to more specific hospitality courses like accommodations management, or tourism courses like international niche tourism or sustainable tourism, right? It's a busy year. There's 6 courses each semester, and we'll definitely keep you on your toes. Okay, so I want to kind of highlight some of the work integrated, the applied learning that we offer in our program. The first one I want to identify here is the entrepreneurship course. Okay, and what's really cool about this course is it's a project-based course, and you actually work on an industry project. So we work with our industry partners in the hospitality and tourism industry, and they identify something that they need done within their business, within the organization, and they bring it to the classroom. And all of our students work on that project. And then from there, everybody's working on the same project, and the best projects actually get presented to the industry partner. So there's a potential for you to make some networking contacts, right? And to work on something that's real. It's a real life project, right? And then we have our food and beverage service management course. And what's really cool about this program is that we work on a restaurant simulation, okay? And this is a capstone course. So everything you've learned in HR, marketing, accounting, you bring it all together in this particular course, and you're basically running a restaurant, okay? And what's really cool is that the simulation is all algorithmic, and it's kind of a competition. So what we've been doing is we break our class up into 10 groups, and then from there, each group is running a restaurant. And essentially, the group that wins the competition, makes the most amount of money, actually gets the highest mark in the course, right? So it's kind of cool, it's kind of fun, and we get to create some friendly competition. And then we have the accommodations management course. And in this course, we actually have the license to use Opera PMS. So in this course, you actually get the same training, online training, that new hires get when they go work for a hotel that is using the Opera property management system. So that's something you can put in your resume, that you've already done the new employee computer-based training for that particular software. And then in technology applications and in the marketing course, you do a Hootsuite certification. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Hootsuite, but it's basically an online social media platform where people can integrate all of their social media platforms in one place. You go in onto this platform, you You update your social media, keep track of your social media on all different platforms in one place, right? So in technology applications, we focus on the platform that manages all the different platforms. And then in marketing, you actually do a social marketing certification where you learn how to do marketing in the social media environment. And then in a few seconds, I'm going to pass you on to Professor Novacek, and she'll talk a little bit about the Costa Rica International Field Study opportunity, where our students have the chance to go work on a field study in Costa Rica during our reading weeks here at the college, which is really cool. And then also in our niche tourism course, we do several field trips in this course, which again exposes our students to the real world, right? So now I will pass this over to Agnes for a minute or two to speak about one of our top students in the program over the last few years.
Thanks so much, Vince. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Agnes Novacek. And maybe, Vince, if you can go back one slide, because there are two pictures actually from our international field study, and they both highlight all kinds of wonderful students, but there's Carolyn here, there's myself, and here is another student who is our bachelor student. So, and this is, Carolyn is here, really tiny, but that's the same student I'm going to talk about. We can go forward now. And as you saw, the flag, Be Word Ready, that is our institution at Niagara College who organizes all kinds of wonderful trips. So Costa Rica field study is one of many. We also have Disney, but this one in particular, I worked with at that point our associate dean and the Be Word Ready staff and my own contacts in Costa Rica to put it together. But it was one that, and still is, open to everyone else. But as it happened, Carolyn was one of our star students. We are so fortunate to get few of those every time we teach, more than few perhaps. But it's definitely the best part of my job, finding and meeting those students and then helping them succeed and achieve their dreams. So at this point, I only was teaching, I typically teach sustainable tourism course, one of my passions. And Carolyn seemed to really take to the subject matter. She also disclosed to me very early on that she was passionate about it. She was looking for contacts. And long story short, she ended up going on doing her internship in Costa Rica with one of my contacts. And as she stayed there still, she just finished her internship. And it happened that our international field study was taking place, or about to. And so she already was very known. So that's another great thing about our students. They can network quite easily between our different schools, and as whether it's Be Word Ready, or as Vince mentioned, you know, we have a winery and brewery and restaurant and spa and all kinds of things that, depending what you like, you can network. And so she was already, she knew a lot of people in network, so she had good reputation from Be Word Ready, and she happened to assist us as the second lead. So for the very first time in our history of Be Word Ready, we had a student, our alumna, assisting, and it was a great opportunity for the rest of the students to have a student perspective in addition to a faculty perspective. So she was there with us for a week. Our international field studies, also as Vince mentioned, are 1 week, and they're the kinds of experiences where we want to take students to get immersed in the culture, first of all, but also to look at the practical aspect of the industry. And this one too was to do with different sectors of the tourism industry. And of course, because of my passion, looking to doing things properly and sustainably and ethically. So that was that component. I'm not sure if I need to say anything else. This is actually an article from our Niagara College paper, A Spotlight on Carolyn, and I believe that will be available, so you can click and take a look at her pathway. But of course, there are so many pathways that, you know, as long as you network and share what you're looking for, you will find a lot of faculty wanting to help you and assist you in your dreams.
Awesome. Thank you, Agnes. And she was definitely a great student. What was also very interesting about her is what she was identified as a exchange student. So she was basically doing a degree at a university in Germany. And she came here with us for a year, for the 8 months. And she got her hospitality and tourism graduate certificate, as well as getting credit towards her 4-year degree back in Germany, which was kind of cool. So it was kind of an interesting way that she did that, which was maybe one of the reasons why she did so well. She was kind of getting dual certification for this program.
She's currently in Sweden continuing with her master's degree, but also the title of this article talks about an alumna that continues to give. And that's certainly something I find with some of our students, that they continue being part of that family, which, you know, if you're lucky to join us, you'll find out too and experience.
Absolutely. So this is just one example of many of our successful students. So thank you so much, Agnes. All right. So oh, there we go. So, you know, why the hospitality and tourism industry? Well, you know, here in Niagara, our campus is about 15 minutes away from Niagara Falls, right? We're at the epicenter of Canada's hospitality and tourism industry, with many co-op employment opportunities at the wineries, the hotels, the restaurants, resorts, the different attractions, and many, many more. Now, of course, you know, the elephant in the room here is COVID-19, the pandemic. So just to give you some pre-pandemic statistics on, you know, the industry here in Niagara, right? We get almost 13 million tourist visits a year just in this area of Ontario, with several overnight stays, total visitor spending of almost $2 billion, right? And many of our, you know, about a quarter of the people coming here are from the USA, and the rest, then we also get a lot from overseas, obviously, right? So about 7.2% of people are from overseas, and almost 70% are from Canada, right here in Canada. So again, these are pre-pandemic statistics. To be honest, my personal take on all this is the perfect time to study hospitality and tourism, right? We're kind of in a lull right now, right? The pandemic has definitely affected our business very, very badly, right? To say the least. But you know, all forecasts, all research is showing by 2022, 2023, this industry is going to hit the ground running very, very quickly. You know, studies are showing that we're not going to kind of gradually increase in tourism and travel. That it's just going to hit us once we're able to travel. It's going to just be busy again, like it was in 2019. So it's great that it's the time to study now, and by the time you graduate, those jobs will be available again in our industry, is what we're anticipating. So I guess you can take that for what it's worth. Now, again, another concern you might be having is in regards to online versus in-class delivery. Ryan spoke about this a little bit earlier in regards to what we're trying to achieve in the fall, right? With much more on-campus delivery, if that's what the numbers allow us to do. But how do we find success with the online piece, right? Because, you know, we all know we face technical issues, right? And, you know, it's important that, you know, when you're going to study online, that we have the right technology, we have the right devices, right? We have the right great computers, we have high-speed access, that we might have technical issues. You know, here at the college, we're very, very fortunate. We have a great IT department and IT support. I know that, you know, if we have any issues during a test, because obviously those are timed and there's issues there, our IT department responds very quickly to resolve these issues. And there really hasn't been very many, number one. And number two, the ones that we have faced have been resolved in an extremely timely manner, and I think with low stress on my end as well as on the student's end. Next another challenge, right, is being home. I've been working from home for a year now. We have a lot of distractions, and how do we, and how do we manage our time? Well, first of all, it's important to try and avoid those distractions. And how do we do that? Well, it's important that we actually set time aside to study and do our work, right? As if you're going to class, right? You set a certain amount of time aside of time. Sorry, set aside a certain amount of time to do your schoolwork on a daily basis. And I think we're trying to help with that. We're offering more synchronous classes this in the spring and in the fall semesters. Things will be synchronous, so you can join us during those synchronous times, right? And also, it's important, I think, that you let the people around you, your roommates, your family, your friends, that you let them know that, hey, you know what, I'm doing school online. These are my busy times. Try not to distract me or call me or get in touch with me during these times, because I'm trying to really focus, right? So those are some of the things that help. Putting together to-do lists, right? Things that need to get done and prioritize. So that way you're not kind of constantly trying to figure out what needs to be done, right? You watch the videos, you see what's due in each class, and you put together a to-do list, and that kind of helps you keep on track and helps with engagement as well, right? So, self-motivation and engagement can sometimes be difficult. So how can we do that? Well, you know what? Get involved, right? Involve yourself. Make sure you're attending your professor's office hours or the synchronous classes. Ask questions. Email when you're doing your work and you have a question. Do not hesitate to email your professor or try to reach out to your professor and maybe set up a virtual call, or try and communicate via messaging or through emails. And of course, it's important to try and stay positive. I know here at home, I've gone the last 6 months here at the college, I've been going through a construction project. So there's been a lot of banging and noise and people in my house. And it has been difficult to stay focused, right? And I've been getting frustrated. And we just got a new puppy in January, and the dogs are barking and going pee all over the place. And it can get frustrating. I get it 100%. But, it's important to stay positive. Think of all the positive things in your life and all the good things, right? And again, here at the college, we have excellent resources to help you stay on track with those things. And then I think one of the biggest things that you need to do is communicate, right? Via email, go to your professor's office hours. Make sure your professor knows who you are, right? Because we're not in the classroom. We don't get to see people's faces. It's very, very important that you let your professor know who you are, right? And in a positive manner, not always, but asking questions, attending the office hours, attending synchronous classes, submitting your assignments on time, and making sure you're putting a lot of effort into them, and it shows back into in your work. And lastly, I want to talk about feedback, right? So again, because we're not in the classroom, you don't really, it's difficult to create that relationship with the professor. But if you do create that relationship, through communication and such, and when you get a report back or you get an assignment back or a test back, ask for feedback, right? Again, reach out via email or go to your office hours and ask to set some time aside with your professor to kind of get that feedback on how you could improve. How could you continue to do well, and what are the things that you need to do or can do to improve, right? And then again, here at the college, we're very, very fortunate with our online resources, whether they're the library, counseling, admissions, international, right? We do have a lot of resources in place to set you up for success. Okay. And I've used the term synchronous and asynchronous. So you may be thinking, what does synchronous mean? Well, synchronous is when students learn at the same time, right? So we basically have a set time, let's say between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that I'm going to be online. I'm basically going to teach this course like I am right now. I'm going to teach it to you guys, and you guys will be able to have conversations back and forth. You'll ask questions, and it's real time, okay? And this allows for instant feedback and clarification, which is great. And then we have the asynchronous environment. And again, some courses are maybe like this, right? And this is when you basically learn at different times. Communication is not live. So we'll send you emails, we'll create videos on the content and we put them up and you basically review them and go through and study at your own pace and on your own time. Right? And this allows students to work at their own pace. So, and if they need to review the video a few times, especially if you're learning like accounting or math and you don't understand a formula, you can watch it over several times, which helps. So there's pros and cons, of course, to both of these platforms. So again, virtual learning success, we have awesome Blackboard tools for your virtual learning, right? We have very clear online resources and contacts available to help you develop good study habits and overcome a lot of these online learning challenges. We really are committed to making this as a positive experience as possible for you and all students. Okay. And typically our courses are a hybrid of synchronous and asynchronous right now. And like I said, and as Ryan said earlier, hopefully we'll have a little more presence online this fall. And by May, we should have some definite feedback on that. Okay. So here at Niagara College and in our program, we're going to provide you with the skills. We have a phenomenal set of faculty that have experience in hospitality, tourism, and in business, right? And we're going to provide you with the skills you need in order to be what we call Monday morning ready, right? Ready to start the job on Monday morning. We're going to provide that for you. We're also going to give you the knowledge that you need in order to be successful in the hospitality and tourism industry. But the one thing that we need from you that you need to bring to the table is an attitude for success, okay? That's what you need to bring, and that's what we want you to bring. And if you do that, you will be successful, all right? Now, that wraps up my piece. Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns at this point?
I've got a question though, of course, for Vince, Agnes, and Jennifer as well. And that's just to kind of know more about your background. I mean, especially a program like this, it's so important that the faculty, right, have the proper background to be able to handle this. So what is your background here for teaching our students?
I guess I'll start and I'll pass it on to Agnes and Jen to share their experiences. But what I think is awesome about my experience is I'm a graduate of Niagara College. And I graduated from the Hospitality Administration program, which was a 3-year advanced diploma back in the 90s. I won't say exactly what year. I won't date myself that much. But while I was here at Niagara College, I wanted more out of my education. I wanted more than a diploma. And back then, we didn't really have a lot of degrees in hospitality here in Canada. So I took advantage of a articulation agreement that we had with a university in the US. Southern New Hampshire University. I went there to get my degree. And it was a 15-month program on top of my 3 years here. But what was really great about that particular program in the US was we did a 9-month internship. And that 9-month internship that I did was in Fort Lauderdale at the Fort Lauderdale Marina Marriott. And that's where I started my career with Marriott. And that's kind of my quote unquote claim to fame in this industry is Marriott. I spent 8 years with Marriott. And while I was, I did my internship there, and I guess I did a half decent job because they offered me a position into their management training program there. So I stayed with Marriott for several years and worked for Hilton. I worked for an independent hotel company. I did some consulting as well. But in 10 years that I worked in the industry, directly in the industry, I lived and worked in New Hampshire, Fort Lauderdale, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., Vail, Colorado, San Diego, Bermuda, Orlando. And then I came back here to Niagara College to wrap up my career. And I've been here at Niagara College for 15 years now.
Wow.
So that's my little tidbit. And I'll pass it on to Agnes or Jen to share their experiences.
Thank you, Vince. I'll go next. I'm looking at the pictures, just following that. My pathway is somewhat similar, somewhat not so similar. I am not a graduate of Niagara College, unfortunately. You can tell in my accent, I'm not originally Canadian. I came to Canada when I was 14. I came from Poland. We do have a lot of international students in this program. And so this is the part that I really relate. I understand the struggles, although when I came without English, and all of our students speak amazingly. So my pathway started actually in college. And at one point I was looking at psychology and child and youth worker in particular. And then I discovered a group of students who always had fun, and it was recreation and leisure studies. So I was kind of considering moving, and I found I did all kinds of tests, and I found that this resonates with me more. And so sometimes we find in, when I chat with our students, they kind of go between different areas as well. In this program in particular, we have students from so many different disciplines, which is great too. But from the college portion, when I was in recreation leisure studies, the similarity with Vince is that there was also an agreement with Brock University in St. Catharines, which is right around the corner from our campus in a way. And I did my bachelor studies there in rec and leisure studies. And I did it as year 2 student. So it saved me 1 year after college. And I continued at Brock. I fell in love with an area called ecotourism. And that's when I discovered my passion, and I found something. I didn't know such a thing existed. I mentioned I teach sustainable tourism typically, so I started developing in this area. I continued at University of Waterloo to do my master's. I knew I wanted to do a PhD, and at that point I thought I'm going to be working as a professor at university, because I had this professor from Brock who really inspired me teaching this ecotourism course, and he just wrote a book about it, and I was like, whoa, this is exactly how I'm going to be. So I thought I want to mix it up and get different areas of study. So I did my master's in urban planning with still focus on outdoor recreation. And also at UW, I did my PhD focusing on ecotourism in specific. But I realized, which brings me again to college, why I love college, is that I realized I had all this education, but no practical experience. And I thought, what do I really know about this thing, ecotourism? So when I finished my courses during my doctoral studies in the second year, I decided I want to take a semester off. And I knew this company, and this company actually was something that my professor from Brock was talking about in ecotourism. Like, I really want to see ecotourism, what it's like. So 4 months in the Peruvian Amazon basin in a eco lodge, that's where I learned what it is not. I came back very disillusioned. I no longer wanted to be a prof. It was more of a personal journey, but it was amazing because, and this is kind of the cycle that I'm passing on to students like Carolyn, where I find we are so fortunate at Niagara College that we have so many of these experiences. And this was actually something that opened the door for me, because not many PhDs have hands-on experience, and not many college students go on to do PhD. So it was kind of a wonderful combination that opened the door. So practical experience, education, I would say, it's a really amazing combination. I would strongly recommend it. So I started at Niagara College in 2012 and have been there ever since. I love it. And I teach mainly in this program, but also in our bachelor program.
Okay, I guess I'm up next. So hi everyone, I'm Professor Jennifer Hall, and I also teach with Agnes and with Vince, of course, in the postgrad program. And I also teach quite a bit into the tourism management program in our school. And I see a lot of similarities actually between kind of my story and Agnes's story and Vince's story. I grew up in the Niagara region and kind of have ended up back here now, of course, teaching at Niagara College, but I knew from a pretty young age that I wanted to do something related to the outdoors. So I actually went to school for outdoor adventure leadership. That was what my undergrad was in. And I also went to teachers college. So for a while, I was kind of pursuing being a high school teacher or an elementary school teacher. But I kind of realized that that wasn't for me, that I wanted to do something a little bit different in education. So I taught outdoor education for a number of years. And while I was doing that, I actually made kind of an unusual connection through a former classmate of mine from years ago and started working for a tour operator. And with the tour operator, I got to travel and lead groups, and I was really lucky to bring groups to the United States, to the west coast of Canada, France, Switzerland, Italy, Australia, New Zealand, Peru, and Ecuador. And then I went to the Galapagos Islands right before I kind of started working at the college. And then since then, I also worked for a travel agency. So in Ontario, travel sales is regulated by law through an organization called TICO. So I became certified through them. And have been really fortunate for the past 4 years to work at the college. So it's been really great. And I hope that this is helpful to you. And if there's anything that you need from us, I know Agnes and Vincent will echo this, feel free to reach out to us by email. We can answer questions or share any more information about these topics.
No, that's thanks to the three of you. That's really awesome. I noticed a lot of similarities actually in this kind of pathway, right? Vince, you said an interesting thing that, of course, isn't specific to your postgrad, but about at the time college is not offering degrees, and of course that's something that has changed quite a bit in many years. I still, as a recruitment coordinator, I talk mostly with the high school demographic, but many of them still don't know that colleges offer degrees. I don't think enough people are talking about it. And of course, we offer a very unique 4-year honors bachelor's degree in hospitality as well, that any of our hospitality students can go and pursue and be a part of and take advantage of, which is really, really cool and a great opportunity. And, you know, even kind of myself, I was a college student through and through. University wasn't for me. I was not a good high school student, I'll admit that. And again, sort of a personal journey, right? I figured myself out as I went through college, and I actually had the opportunity to go to Ireland to earn my degree, something I thought I would never do. And it sounds like there's so much personal growth involved with your guys' different paths that I resonate with, but also the international opportunities. You guys have been all over, truly. And I think that's, at least to me, I can't speak for the attendees, but to me, that's a massive draw for the industry. Is, I mean, actually speaking to the amount of international opportunities and experiences you've had, what kind of experiences are you aware of that maybe some of your fellow professors or students have had more locally within Ontario or within Niagara? Of course, Niagara being Niagara Falls and a massive tourist destination in and of itself.
You mean I'm international experience, like traveling experience within Ontario? I'm not sure.
No, not traveling experience. I mean, sorry, I meant like by work experience. Like you've had opportunities to go and travel for work and for your industry. Yeah.
What are the experiences locally?
Yes.
Well, as I mentioned here in Niagara, you know, pre-pandemic, this was definitely a hop in place with over 13 million visitors annually. And then, of course, you know, Niagara Falls is synonymous with tourism, right? We've had faculty that have worked in local hotels in there, and as well as Niagara-on-the-Lake, which is Canada's wine region, right? And then, you know, working, I'm trying to think of some of the stuff. You know, we have Janet Jacobson, who has her experience, most of her experiences in Toronto and sales and events. We have Terry Canestrero, who's also a graduate of our bachelor's program, who's now a professor here at Niagara College. And her experience comes from Niagara-on-the-Lake, and she did front office as well as sales and events at the Pillar and Post, I believe, and that was Niagara-on-the-Lake. Brian, who started the same day as I did, he's been at the college for 15 years. His experience is with Fairmont, and he started in Canada in British Columbia and ended up in Hawaii and spent a couple of years in Hawaii as a front office manager there. I'm just trying to go down the hall here. And then we have one of our chef professors within our division, Chef Oz. He's from Cuba, but his experience here in Canada is from the casinos, and worked in the casinos for a while here in Niagara, and then started working as as a chef in our dining room here at the college, and then got his MBA from Niagara University, and now is a full-time professor at the college as well. So those are the few I can think of. I don't know if there's anybody else I miss, Agnes or Jen.
What about Christina? Does she teach in our program?
Yeah, Christina, she's
chef,
her
right?
wine and beverages. And then of course, John Rondinelli, right? He's a professor at the college, and he was a Burger King franchisee for 30 years in St. Catharines, and one of the smartest people I know. He was like president of the finance committee for Burger King, and really involved there. And of course, we have Paul Willie. He has too many letters next to his name to even try and speak to, but he, most recently, I know he was the president of the Hospitality, Finance, and Technology Professionals of Canada, and also did some teaching at a university in Ecuador, was it? Right. So he's, we're just a wealth of experience in our entire division. So I hope that answers your question, Ryan.
No, that does absolutely. No, that's great. I believe we've got about 15 minutes left to the session. So if any of the attendees in the audience have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to put that into the Q&A. But in the meantime, I do have one last question. And that's sort of talking about, and I've had this question asked in a few other of the course subjects as well. But I imagine, would you consider, and you must consider that sort of faculty experience that you all bring to the table as sort of a competitive edge when it comes to maybe some hospitality programs offered at other colleges within Ontario? Yeah, how do you deal with that, the competition?
There is no competition. I kid, but we like I said, our faculty and our experience, you've heard from a few of us, and like I said, I just tried to list some of the highlights of some of our other faculty, and there's a long list. I think that's a huge selling feature. And I think probably one of our biggest selling features is our location, right? Being in Niagara. And like I said, I mentioned earlier before, we're synonymous with hospitality and tourism.
Yeah.
I think we'd be hard pressed to find somebody that's never heard of Niagara Falls.
That's
right?
how I identify with students up in Central Ontario. So
exactly, and we're 15 minutes away from it all. So I think those are our faculty, our location. I think are two of our biggest selling points here at the college, and sustainability, is something that I think our current potential students are concerned about and big, and we've talked to Agnes about her experience and her sustainability courses and such, and I think that plays another huge part as well.
I would also add, we have all kinds of teaching areas, Canadian Food and Wine Institute, brewery, winery, restaurant, spa. These are all of the aspects you look around. So location, and on a more humble note, I guess, I think every school would say we have great faculty, but there's more than that. It feels that practical component is one where I look around where we are. I actually live in Waterloo, even in where I am, looking around, it's really something that I don't see in any other school. I know with our students, when I talk to them, those are one of the factors that they enjoy and might be deciding factors as well, how they choose their schools. But on another note, I remember when I was looking for university or school to be part of, and to me, the scale, the size, beyond the location too is really something that feels more like family. It has to be the right size. I found out about Brock, universities can be scary. I went to U of T as my first experience, walked into a classroom of about 800 people, stuff like a theater, 25 teaching assistants, professor with a microphone. No, thank you. I don't want to be a number. 2 weeks, I ran away. I went to college. So that the college experience resonates with me, but I guess for a good reason. And I think especially for international students that are on their own looking for that family portion, you will find that the smaller classes, the faculty, we're always there in offices. We're always here in our virtual offices. You know, we go above and beyond, I think, to assist our students and make relationships with our students. So that's another component I would add on that human level.
And maybe I could kind of add to that because Melissa asked a question very related to this as well.
Yeah.
Melissa asked about work experiences at the college and getting job experience. And I think that's very connected to what my colleagues are saying, the fact that on campus, we do have all of these opportunities, not only to work, but also just to learn about how different parts of our industry exist. I know when we're back on campus, typically, if possible, we go on tours of places like the winery and the distillery and the brewery, learn a little bit more and see if that may be somewhere you want to work when you finish your studies. And we have had students who have worked in the restaurant. I have a few students from this program who work at the winery, brewery, distillery, in different roles. So there is opportunity there for work and also just kind of for learning and kind of setting aside your career goals for when you graduate.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Jennifer. That's great. And I believe that answers Melissa's question. And just to kind of add on to that, for those attendees that maybe aren't, of course, from the area or familiar with Niagara College, it is home to the CFWI, which is the Canadian Food and Wine Institute. And so what Jennifer was referring to there is on site, like right next to our campus and attached to the campus exists a winery, a brewery, a distillery, the Benchmark restaurant, which has been recently converted into a student space for the pandemic, all on site, right, and available. And so there's a very and Agnes talked about this as well. There's kind of a very symbiotic relationship between all those different industries and students and faculty and the programs that are offered there that all kind of work in tandem together.
Sure, I noticed your question, Arun, and I was thinking about some of the interesting places some of our students have ended up related to tourism. I'm sure Agnes and Vince can also share some good examples. But a few kind of interesting examples, we've got a couple of graduates who are working for DMOs, for destination marketing organizations. Specifically, we have a couple of grads who are working for Niagara Falls Tourism. So again, one of them actually I'm in contact with, she's traveling most of the year, not during the pandemic, to promote that destination. So that's a really interesting role. We also have some students who've gone into working in travel sales. I've had some students working for local tour operators in the Niagara region. So quite a lot of diversity, but I'm sure there's other answers too, just a couple of things that are on the top of my mind in terms of career opportunities.
On my end, I guess, because again, where I live at Waterloo, I only know about students where even currently they continue working, which is pretty amazing, how resilient our industry can be. But when I do visit Niagara-on-the-Lake or Niagara Falls, that's where I always run into our students. And I'm like, oh, they're everywhere, absolutely everywhere. All kinds of attractions and events, wineries, restaurants, hotels, spas, golf courses. I'm trying to think, you know, and it's usually the student who recognizes me and yells my name, but I run into them all the time. And I hear similar stories in other portions, not only of Ontario, but other provinces with colleagues running into our students. So it's kind of great.
Perfect.
I think these young ladies nailed it. Right, our students are everywhere. You know, a lot of our students are in Ontario. We have some in Alberta, BC, working for tourism boards and convention bureaus and hotels and attractions and tour operators and the whole shebang. So,
Excellent. Thank you for answering that. And now there is another question from all you mind. Am I saying that right? Vince, I believe you saw that.
Yeah, I did, because you know what, this program is for you. This is what it was designed for. We have students with degrees in engineering and science and biology and all these different things, beekeeping and horticulture and all this, and they take this program because they have some sort of passion for the hospitality industry, the people industry. And this was exactly what this program was designed for. Were people that have an education, have the background, have the educational and academic background, but want that edge over the competition for the hospitality and tourism industry, to get that background, to get your foot in the door. 100%.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Vince.
My pleasure.
So we are quickly coming up to the very end of our session today. Just one last time, I really want to give a huge thanks to Vince and Agnes and Jennifer and Monta for taking the time and being here to both support the session and share their expertise on the program. It's truly valued. I definitely took a lot away from it, so I'm sure the attendees did as well. There were some great questions and conversations had as well. So thank you, all of you, very, very much. And a huge thanks to all of the attendees who took the time to do their additional research and come to this and check it out. And